Hey everyone, and welcome back. First of all, I want to tell you that there are a couple of new designs on the Undune t-shirt shop. And secondly, there's now a European sales point, so you'll be able to get cheap shipping all over Europe. So definitely go check that out. The link will be in the description. So, to business. Today we have a special snowflake who's going to teach us about toxic masculinity, a concept that is trying to prove that all men are animals. Well, we're obviously not going to let that stand, so I guess it's up to us to stand against insanity. And because misery loves company, I've brought my buddy Sinatra Says in on all the fun. Enjoy! Well, what do you know? It starts off with a trigger warning.
I love when they give actual trigger warnings in the beginning instead of just the shit we do.
Oh yeah, we're getting the good stuff now.
It gives me a good feeling about this video.
Today's video topic is going to be toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity, huh? This is what we're doing? Alright, I'm gonna need some help with this one.
Don't worry, I got your back.
Glad to hear it. Let's do this.
This is a big one.
That's what she said.
So toxic masculinity, it's absolutely not all men are toxic.
I don't believe you.
It's the idea of men having to perform a certain gender role and having to act this particularly masculine way in order to be accepted in society.
Well, that's because, for the most part, society relies on us to do masculine things like change tires, lift heavy shit, and procreate.
It's basically a way we describe how the patriarchy and sexism impacts men negatively and can be really harmful to them.
So men set up a patriarchy to oppress themselves? I'm sure there's a lot of incompetent men out there, but give me a fucking break.
So although the words toxic and masculinity are put together here, it's not men are toxic.
Don't blame me. Blame my gender.
This is a toxic form of masculinity that men are expected to perform, and it's hurtful to them.
According to whom?
As a feminist, I acknowledge...
Shut up, I'm talking. What you're really saying is that it's harmful to feminism when men act like men.
Society we're in right now is not really that great for any of the genders. Unless you're a straight, white, cis male.
Excuse me, sweetheart, but I'm pretty sure the Western culture is the best thing that anybody has ever had in this entire planet ever, as far as fairness and opportunity for everybody.
Especially for women.
It's really not that great to begin with, and even those people are suffering from this idea of toxic masculinity and having to perform gender roles. But an example of these unfair expectations that society puts on men are, for example, the idea that men aren't allowed to be emotional and they're not allowed to cry.
I have never once in my entire life ever been told that I'm not allowed to show my emotions as a man.
And besides, I wouldn't want to be surrounded by a bunch of crybabies anyhow.
Okay, what about this idea that men have to be hypersexual, and you'll often see men getting teased if they're virgins? There's a lot of heteronormativity involved in this toxic masculinity as well. There's this idea that you have to be attracted to women, and being gay is sort of feminine in a sort of way, and so you're kind of ostracized for that. There's this idea that men should be strong and assertive.
Well, these are one of the things that are going to be true no matter how much you talk about it. Men do need to have a strong and assertive attitude, because there will always be bullies in the world. And if there's not certain men or women to stand up to them, nobody's going to.
And this can be really dangerous because obviously you have male abuse victims, and some of these men have been abused by women, and then they feel like they can't come forward because other people are going to mock them.
She's an airhead, thousands in trust, cost Aquarius, get serious.
No, you fucking retard. They don't come forward because there's no point. Feminists always shut down the men's shelter anyhow.
Because they're going to think, oh, what, you were overpowered by a weak woman, really?
No. The thing that happens there is, if a man hits a woman back after he's been assaulted by her, he is the one who will get in trouble for it. This has happened time and time again. Man and woman get into argument, woman hits man defends himself, man goes to jail.
I often have men who are anti-feminism saying, well, men are always drafted into the military. How come in the past, like, women weren't conscripted?
That's a straw man. We're not concerned about the past.
It's this idea that men should be the protectors and the providers, and the women should stay home and be meek and mild and look after the children and be the nurturers. It's all to do with these gender roles.
Maybe, just maybe, that might be because Women are better at nurturing and caring for children than men are by and large, and men have better physical prowess to do things that are required of them in combat roles than women are. That's not really a gender role, that's biological reality.
Have you ever heard the phrase, be a man up, stop crying like a girl, you throw or run like a girl? One I really hate is the idea of the man of the house.
I really want to know why you hate this.
And my dad and my mum divorced when I was very young.
Let me guess, your mom was similar to you.
And so I'm the older sister, I have a little brother, and it was just me, my mum and my brother living at home. And we would have relatives saying to my poor little brother, who was very, very young at the time, you have to be the man of the house now, Dan. You have to look after your mum and your sister.
Oh, fuck off. That's just something you say to little boys to get them to calm down a little if they don't have a father figure.
Now, there's no problem with saying you have to look after your mum and sister, emotionally, in terms of, in a family you all look after each other. But think of the amount of pressure which we put on little boys to fill that protector, provider role. That's a lot of stress.
Well, a lot of households require a man to do manly shit, unless a woman wants to do manly shit, but for the most part, if a woman has to do manly shit, she doesn't want to do it.
And on the flip side, it's kind of infantilizing girls and women, because it's this idea that they can't look after themselves and they need a male of any age, even if they're a small child, to look after them.
Because there are some things that men are just inherently better at than women. Again, for the most part.
Think about the heroes that boys are taught to aspire to, and often they're kind of womanizing figures. It's still today considered quite cool to be a womanizer, as evidenced by these lovable womanizer characters we see all over the place in media.
Hey, moron! Fucking moron!
You don't want women to fuck you because you want to score social points. You want women to fuck you because you want to fuck women. It's one of life's little pleasures. You should try it sometime.
You're fired.
The bet is...
But I thought...
After
then
that, I'll...
If only...
Now, as well as teaching men to see women as disposable objects, I think it's also really harmful to men.
Was there a class in high school that I missed called How to Womanize and Dump Chicks 101? Because I don't think that's a thing.
Have you ever seen guys at school, being teased because they're virgins or they're not very sexual?
Nope. Where did you go to school? Porn high?
And I feel you have the flip side for girls. So if a girl enjoys sex, she's often called a slut or other horrible names, and people are really awful to her.
That's other women saying that, dumbass, but of course it's men's fault somehow.
Also, toxic masculinity kind of assumes that boys are going to be straight, and it encourages them to be straight. And it kind of makes being gay seem like this feminine thing, and it's a bad thing.
No, seriously, where the fuck did you go to school? Was your school bus a fucking DeLorean taking you back to the 1950s every day?
And it can just be incredibly harmful for boys who aren't straight.
I don't think that's a toxic masculinity thing. I think that's a gay thing where a lot of gay men are extremely effeminate.
I believe that being a feminist will benefit all genders.
You mean both genders? There are only two, you know.
Also, with this idea of toxic masculinity, you have this strange pushing of heterosexuality on little boys. So you'll have even babies, you'll have little boys showing the slightest interest in a woman. You will have a male baby, and the baby will, smile at, I don't know, some woman going past the pram.
Oh yeah, the baby's such a male chauvinist pig for looking at women like that.
No swelling, no tenderness, and I can hear that, House.
Just thought it might help you relax.
And people in the family will say, oh, he's such a lady killer, he's such a ladies' man, look at that little heartbreaker.
So what? He's being cute, doing cute baby shit. And the whole thing about it is he's a baby doing adult shit. It's funny. Stop trying to make everything unfunny, feminists. Things are funny. Let it go.
Amen to that.
So obviously I absolutely hate toxic masculinity, and I hope that in this video I've kind of described what it is.
Yeah, it's much clearer now. It's feminists hating men.
Basically, if you identify as a man, then you are a man. That's all that it requires to be a man.
Hey, dum-dum, it also requires a cock.
I really hate toxic masculinity.
No, you hate masculinity, period. No pun intended. Okay, that was a lie, pun intended.
I hate putting people into boxes and giving them traits based on gender and then turning them into these things. So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. And then people want to pretend that this is just the natural way boys and girls naturally are. And they completely disregard these sort of social pressures, which we all know exist.
Well, that's because there is certain things that men and women naturally do. Men are naturally stronger than women. Women are naturally more caring than men. That's why men dominate labor fields while women dominate healthcare and medical things of that nature, childcare, early childhood education, things like that. There are certain biological realities that, as much as feminists don't like them, still exist. Any closing thoughts from you, Undoomed?
Only that I think it's ironic that she talks about ignoring social pressures, while at the same time ignoring biology and instinct altogether. I think that's all you can say about that. We took the bitch out for a spin, she broke down on the highway, so all's left to do now is call AAA. So with that, I think we're gonna close shop. Make sure you go check out Sinatra Says. The link will be in the description. Also, if you want to participate in future Patreon hangouts, then go support me on Patreon. Thanks for watching and see you next time.